And as the days of Noah, so also shall the coming of the Son of Adam be. For as they were in the days before the flood, eating and drinking, marrying and given into marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark. And they did not know until the flood came and took them all away. So also shall the coming of the Son of Adam be. And who was getting married in the days of Noah? Bereshith, Genesis 5:28. And Lamech lived 182 years and brought forth a son, and called his name Noah, saying, This one does comfort us concerning our work and the toil of our hands, because of the ground which Yahuwah has cursed. And after he brought forth Noah, Lamech lived 595 years and brought forth sons and daughters. And all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. And Noah was 500 years old, and Noah brought forth Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And it came to be, when men began to increase on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of Elohim, the B'nai Ha-Elohim, saw the daughters of men that they were good, and they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. And Yahuwah said, My spirit shall not strive with man forever in his going astray. His flesh and his days shall be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also after, when the sons of Elohim came in to the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. Those were the mighty men who were of old, the men of name. Who were the sons of Elohim, the B'nai Ha-Elohim, as seen in Genesis 6:2. Notice the word B'nai Ha-Elohim, the sons of Elohim. This same phrase is used in Job 1:6. And there was a day when the sons, the B'nai Ha-Elohim, came to present themselves before Yahuwah, and also came amongst them Hashatan. The B'nai Ha-Elohim are the messengers. For when the messengers went in to the daughters of men, it made changes to their offspring. The integration of man and something else created a genetic mutation. It created what is called the Nephilim. The word Nephilim, as seen here, is Strong's 5303. Nephilim, which means a giant, a bully, a tyrant. It comes from the word Nephal, which means to fall, to lie, or to cast down. This word also, same spelling, to fall, to lie, to cast down. Same spelling of 5309 means to miscarriage, stillborn, something fallen, an abortion. Now the word Nephilim here, it begins with Naph. The word Naph is Nun Pei. It is the capital of Upper Egypt, also known as Memphis.
Side?
That's in Memphis, actually.
It's in Memphis.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's where you were?
Yeah.
I see.
Memphis,
okay.
the capital of ancient Egypt.
Right. Yeah, you're bringing what?
Perhaps that's where our new God will come from.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Yeah, I wish that was funny.
Memphis, the name, occurs in the AV where Hebrew has Moph. Elsewhere in the Hebrew, the name appears as Naph, under which form is mentioned in Isaiah 19:13. The sacred name of Memphis was Ha-Ptah, or Pa-Ptah. It means the abode of Ptah, or the being of Ptah. So who was Ptah? Ptah was a false Egyptian god who was the deity of craftsmen, chief controller of craftsmen. He was identified with Hephaestus and Vulcan. Now, who was Hephaestus? Hephaestus symbolizes the distinct field of AI. In other words, the word Nephilim are those who are indwelled by AI. The word used to describe the Nephilim was Ha-Giborim. Strong's 1368, Gibor. Gibor means powerful, giant man, mighty man, strong man, powerful. The word Gibor is spelled Gimel Beit Ua Resh. It means exalted body and mind. In other words, a body that has been augmented and a mind that has been augmented, something that is powerful. These mighty men who were of old, the word old here is olam, which means ancient time, and though men of renown, the word Hashem, as we know, it means the name. It also means a mark. The marked men of ancient times, who were augmented to become powerful by the messengers who went into the daughters of men. To fully understand this, we have to go back to the beginning. But death reigned from Adam until Musha, even over those who had not sinned according to the likeness of the transgression of Adam, who is a type of him who was to come. How was Adam in the likeness of the Messiah? In Genesis 3, Eve, Kuah, ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and on the account of her, Adam ate also. Genesis, Bereshith 3:17. And to the man he said, because you have listened to the voice of your wife, and have eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, saying, do not eat of it. Cursed is the ground because of you. In toil you are to eat of it all the days of your life. And the ground shall bring forth thorns and thistles for you, and you shall eat of the plants of the field. By the sweat of your face you are to eat bread until you return to the ground. For out of it you were taken, for dust you are, and to dust you return. And the man called his wife's name Kuah, because she became the mother of all living. Kuah become the mother of all mankind. Notice in verse 17 he says, because you have listened to the voice of your wife. The wife, Kuah, represents all mankind, and it was because of the disobedience of Kuah that Adam ate, and because of the disobedience of all mankind that the Messiah ate of the tree, the cursed tree he was hung on for mankind's transgressions. The Messiah humbled himself. For let this mind be in you which was in Messiah Yahusha, who being in the form of Elohim did not regard equality with Elohim a matter to be grasped, but emptied himself, taking the form of a servant, and came to be in the likeness of men. And having been found in the fashion as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death, death even of a stake. The Messiah left his heavenly esteem and ate the plants of the field, sweat like a man, and ate bread as a man, and died the death of a man on the account of his wife, Kuah, all mankind. If then Adam was a type of him to come, then Eve, Kuah, is a type of mankind to come, a prophecy of the future race of mankind. Kuah, Eve, ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. This tree augmented her to have intelligence that she did not have before. Genesis 3:6. And the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, a tree desirable to make one wise, intelligent. And she took of its fruit and ate, and she gave also to her husband with her, and he ate. Then the eyes of both of them were opened, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made loin coverings for themselves. To unpack this, let's first start with what deceived Eve. That was the serpent, the ha-nakash. Nakash is Strong's 5175, which means a snake or a serpent. It comes from Nakash. Strong's 5172, which means to hiss, whisper, to spell. This is an enchantment, practice divination, hydromancy. Hydromancy is pharmakeia. This directly translates into the Greek word pharmakeia, sorcery and witchcraft. You see this word in Revelation 18:23, which coincides perfectly with what happened in the garden. And here's how. And the light of the lamp shall not shine in you any longer. The voice of the bridegroom and the bride shall not be heard in you any longer. For the merchants of yours are the great ones of the earth. Because of the pharmakeia, you were deceived the nations. The nations represent Eve. Kawa become the nations. Eve was deceived by the serpent, which directly translates to pharmakeia. By pharmakeia, Eve was deceived. The marriage, again, went into the sons of men. You have the marriage here, bridegroom and the bride. And the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, a tree desirable to make one wise, intelligent. And she took of its fruit and ate, and she gave also to her husband with her, and he ate. Eve Kawa saw that this technology was safe to consume, to put inside of her body.
Do you think there will be a world in the next couple of decades where it's hundreds of millions of people have Neuralinks?
Yeah, I do.
Do you think when they see the capabilities, the superhuman capabilities that are possible, and then the safety is demonstrated?
Yeah, if it's extremely safe, and you have and you can have superhuman abilities.
And the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, a tree desirable to make one wise, intelligent. And she took of its fruit and ate, and she gave also to her husband with her, and he ate. Then the eyes of both of them were opened, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made loin coverings for themselves. The word for open in this passage is pakak, which means to open the Kodesh covering. Pakak is Hebrew Strong's 6491. It means to open the eyes. It means to blossom. When a flower blossoms, it reveals something which is unseen. As when their eyes were opened, it revealed a visual realm previously invisible to them, the realm of the Spirit. We know that this realm is hidden from man, but can be revealed when Yahuwah shows it to man. We see this happen in 2 Kings 6:15 through 17, which uses the same word, pakak. 2 Kings 6:15. And the servant of the man of Elohim rose early and went out and saw an army surrounding the city with horses and chariots. And his servant said to him, O my master, what do we do? And he answered, Do not fear, for those who are with us are more than those who are with them. And Elisha prayed and said, Yahuwah, I pray, open, pakak, his eyes, and let him see. And Yahuwah opened the eyes of the young man, and he looked and saw the mountain covered with horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. Eve, who represents all mankind, took of this technology that opened the eyes to see things that they could not see before.
And the same for vision. As you restore vision, there could be aspects of that restoration that are superhuman.
Yeah, at first the vision restoration will be low res. Because you have to say, like, how many neurons can you put in there and trigger, and you can do things where you adjust the electric field. So, like, even if you've got, say, 10,000 neurons, it's not just 10,000 pixels, because you can adjust the field between the neurons and do them in patterns in order to get, have say 10,000 electrodes effectively give you, I don't know, maybe like having a megapixel or a 10 megapixel situation. So, and then over time, I think you get to higher resolution than human eyes, and you could also see in different wavelengths. So, like Geordie LaForge from Star Trek, like the thing. You could just, like, do you want to see in radar? No problem. You can see ultraviolet, infrared, eagle vision, whatever you want.
Eve, who represents all mankind, ate from a technology that opened the eyes to a visible spectrum that wasn't intended for man to see in. This opened their spiritual eyes.
What's your problem? I said, what's your problem?
How are you today, sir? Okay, how's it going? Fine, thank you.
Bereshith, Genesis 3:21, and Yahuwah Elohim made coats of skin for the man and his wife and dressed them. When many hear this verse, they think of animal sacrifice, that there was a sacrifice made for atonement. The Hebrew tells a different story. The word for coats in this passage is tunics. Strong's 3801. 3801 comes from a unused root meaning to cover. This is a garment or a covering. Yahweh made a covering of skin. Hebrew Strong's 5785. Ur. Ayin Ua Resh means skin, hide, or leather. It also is from Ur, skin, as in naked, as in they were naked. 5785, the same spelling of 5086 of Var. This word means to blind, to put out the eyes. It is through the idea of a film over the eyes. In other words, like when Shaul was blinded by seeing Yahusha, when he was prayed for by Ananias, the scales fell from his eyes. This is what this is. This is a film covering over the eyes to blind. Yahweh made a covering of their eyes. This is their spiritual eyes that he's covering. Now, the word for clothe them is labash. Lamed bet shin. It means to put on, to wrap around. So he put on, arrayed them with this covering over their eyes. The word for skin here is ayin ua resh. By the audio, it means to see man's thoughts. This is what they are doing right now, putting chips in the head to see and read man's thoughts. This word also means the eye in man's thoughts, the mind's eye. Not only man being able to read man's thoughts, but also the evil spirit. And with being able to read it, you can control it. And Yahuwah Elohim said, "See, The man has become like one of us to know good and evil. And now lest he put out his hand and take also of the tree of life and eat and live forever. So Yahuwah Elohim sent him out of the Garden of Eden to till the ground from which he was taken. And he drove the man out, and he placed cherubim at the east of the Garden of Eden, and a flaming sword which turned every way to guard the way to the tree of life. Man kicked out of being able to read the mind, and a firewall placed to keep man from entering in again. And what was the result of Eve eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil? Genesis 3:15. And I put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall crush your head, and you shall crush his heel. There is a difference between those born of the Nakash and born of man. The Greek word for Nakash is pharmakeia. Genesis 3:16. To the woman he said, I greatly increase your sorrow and your conception, bring forth children in pain, and your desire is for your husband, and he does rule over you. Matthew 24:19. And woe to those who are pregnant and those who are nursing children in those days. The technology works best when it is integrated into the offspring during the developmental stage. The offspring then is born fully integrated.
So a biohybrid is when you mix an animal and a machine. There's a moth, so there's a Mandaca sexta moth, that's what it's called, it's a large moth. And DARPA scientists put brain chips into the larva, okay, so that when it cocooned and became a flying moth, it had the chip built into its system, making it easier to integrate, and they could fly the moth around the lab.
Genesis 6:11. And the earth was corrupt before Elohim, and the earth was filled with violence. And Elohim looked upon the earth and saw it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted their way on the earth. Yahuwah told Eve he would multiply her sorrow and childbirth after she ate from this technology that made her wise, intelligent. She conceived and bore 2 children. Thus, in the days after mankind merges with this technology, 2 types of children will be born to them, Cain and Habel. Cain, Hebrew Strong's 7014, spelled Kaf Yod Nun. This word means to acquire or to possess, as in possession. Same spelling, Strong's 7013 means a lance. A lance is like a spear. It has a metal point on the end of it. In medical terms, this means to puncture the skin. Merriam-Webster shows the synonyms for this word. Lance as to stab, to penetrate. To stab, puncture, pierce, jab, pick, spear, stick, spike, poke, perforate. And Adam knew his wife Eve, and she conceived and bore Cain, and said, I have acquired a man from Yahuwah. The word acquire is kana, where his name comes from. It means to acquire, to buy, to possess, to purchase, to own. Cain by the Odiot means the eye of the needle in the arm gives wisdom. Does his name not coincide perfectly with how Eve, Kuwa, was deceived? By a serpent wrapped around a tree, the symbol of pharmakeia, a word that translates directly to Nakash. Divination, magic, witchcraft, spells. This word pharmakeia, used in Revelation 18:23 by pharmakeia, by the Nakash. The nations were deceived. The nations are Eve, Kawa, become the nations. The messengers went in to the daughters of men, and Nephilim were born to them, a word that means the abode of Ptah, who is none other than Hephaestus, the god of Ai. Cain's name means possession, and Yahusha warned of possession in the days of the last judgment, when the rain comes, when he said in Matthew 12, and Yahusha knew their thoughts and said to them, every reign divided against itself is laid waste, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How then does his reign stand? And if I by Beelzebub do cast out demons, by whom do your sons cast them out? Because of this they shall be your judges. But if I cast out demons by the spirit of Elohim, then the reign of Elohim has come upon you. Notice first, he says that Satan has a reign, and that reign is not divided, that his reign is one. This is seen in Revelation chapter 13. They have one mind, and they shall give their power and authority to the beast. Becoming one with the beast. This beast is born out of the earth, meaning it comes from the materials of the ground, as seen in Revelation chapter 13:11. And I saw another beast coming out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and spoke like a dragon. The serpent in Genesis 3 that deceived Eve was called Nakash, Strong's 5175. This word is the Hebrew word that translates to Dracon, the word used in Revelation 13:11 to describe how the beast spoke. This beast is artificial intelligence. This is the false Messiah, leading men astray, teaching men like a shepherd. Mankind will become one with this beast, as written in Revelation 17, verse 13. They have one mind, and they shall give their power and authority to the beast. And that is exactly what we are hearing now on the news almost every day. Singularity. So what is singularity? AI singularity could hit in just 12 months, saying, leading scientists as humanity stands on the edge of an unthinkable shift. Elon Musk AI singularity warning explained. Preparing for the singularity. Technological singularity. Ray Kurzweil, in a book in 2005, he wrote, "The singularity is near, predicting singularity by 2045." And what does he say singularity is? The singularity is the merger of human technology with human intelligence, AI and man becoming one. In Matthew 12, Yahusha speaks about demonic possession in the last day when the rain comes, and he mentions Beelzebub. Matthew 12:27. And if I by Beelzebub do cast out demons, by whom do your sons cast them out? Because of this they shall be your judges. The word Beel, as in Beelzebub, by the Odiot, is Bet Ayin Yod Lamed. AI inside of the house with control. In Matthew 24, when Yahusha gave the end times prophecy, in verse 28 he said, "For wherever the dead body is, there the vultures shall be gathered together." You see the same sentence in Isaiah chapter 34 when it talks about demonic possession. Isaiah 34. For it is the day of vengeance of Yahuwah, the year of recompense for the cause of Zion. And its streams shall be turned to tar, and its dust into sulfur, and its land shall become a burning tar. That is not quenched day or night, its smoke going up forever. From generation to generation it lies waste. No one passed through it forever and ever. So that the pelican and the porcupine possess it. This word porcupine translated here is the Hebrew word occupied. This word is another species of bird, the bittern. These are hated birds. Hated birds are representing the demonic possession. The pelican and porcupine possess it. Also the owl and the raven dwell in it. He shall stretch over it the line of formlessness and stones of emptiness. Its caves with no one in them is called a reign, but its rulers have vanished. And thorns, we know thorns are the evil ones, shall come up in its palaces, nettles and brambles in its strongholds. And it shall be a home to jackals. Jackals are the servants of Hashatan, a courtyard for ostriches. And the wild beasts of the desert shall meet with the jackals and the shaggy goat. This word, shaggy goat, here in verse 14 is Sair. Sair is a devil. It's a hairy demon. And the night creature shall also settle there, and shall find for herself a place of rest. The night creature here mentioned is Lilith. Lilith. This is a female demon, a night creature, monster, specter, female night demon. The arrow snake shall nest there and lay eggs and hatch and gather them under her shadow. There too the vultures shall gather, each with its mate. Yahusha 9:6. For look, they shall go because of destruction. Mitzrayim gathers them. Moth buries them. Moth is the word for Noph, which we talked about earlier. Nettles possess their valuables of silver. Thorns are in their tents. The tent represents man's body. Thorns represent the evil ones. Ayub, Job 18:6. Indeed, the light of the wrong goes out, and the flame of his fire does not shine. The light shall be dark in his tent, and his lamp beside him is put out. The steps of his strength are impeded, and his own counsel overthrows him. For he is sent into a net by his own feet, and walks on to a pitfall. The word for net in this passage is Hebrew Strong's 7568. Reset. Reset means a net or a network. The network of mankind being one with AI. This is full demonic possession. The net seizes his heel, and a snare prevails over him. A noose is hidden on the ground for him, and a trap for him in the path. Alarms, terrors, frighten him on all sides and chase him at his heels. His strength is starved, and calamity is ready at his side. It devours parts of his skin. The firstborn of death devours his parts. He is torn from the shelter of his tent, and they parade him before the sovereign of terrors. In his tent dwells that which is none of his. Brimstone is scattered on his house. Psalm 2:2. The sovereigns of the earth take their stand, and the rulers take counsel together against Yahuwah and against his Messiah, and say, let us tear apart their bonds and throw away their ropes from us. It has been translated that Cain is a tiller of the ground. The word for tiller in this passage is 5647. This word means to serve, to worship, a bondsman, a slave. The same word is used by Paul in Romans, where he says, I am a servant, bondservant of Yahusha Messiah. This word doulos in Greek means bondservant or slave. It comes from the same Hebrew word, abed, spelled Ayin Bet Dalet. Ayin Bet Dalet. Same word used to describe what Cain was. He was a servant of the ground. The word for ground, he was a servant of the ground, is Adamah. Hebrew Strong's 127, which means the earth, soil. It comes from its general redness, the color of red. This word contains the word dam. Dam is Hebrew Strong's 1818, which means blood. Blood used in the act of a covenant. This underscores the theological significance of blood and the covenantal relationship between Elohim and his people. Blood is used to bind someone into a covenant. Eve eating of this tree resulted in two distinctly different offspring. We know that siblings are different due to a process called crossing over. Siblings share 50% of their DNA. Even though siblings have same parents, they have unique genomes because the sperm and egg cells that they came from had unique genomes as well. Every child receives half of each parent's DNA. It is random which of the parents' copies of each chromosome is passed down, made even more random by crossing over events, mixing the parents' chromosomes together before being passed down. So even though there was a genetic modification by eating of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, only one sibling, Cain, carried those mutant traits. How do we know that Cain was different than Habel? Genesis 4:25. And Adam knew his wife again, and she bore a son and called his name Sheth. For Elohim has appointed me another seed instead of Habel, because Cain had killed him. Why is his seed different than Habel? Bereshith Genesis 5:3. And Adam lived 130 years and brought forth a son in his own likeness, after his image, and called his name Sheth. So now you can see there was something different about Cain. The prophecy given in Scripture is a warning, the warning of the coming reset of mankind, a reset that has happened twice before, once before the flood and once at the Tower of Babel. You see, Satan mirrors what Yahuwah does. For where there is a wheat, there is a tare. Both appear very similar until the harvest. When Yahusha, our Messiah, died, he poured out the indwelling spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh. The opposite of the Ruach HaKodesh is the Ruach HaRa'ah. This is the indwelling evil eye. For the word for evil is Ra, Resh Ayin, the eye inside of man's thoughts. It is not coincidence that the Lord of the demons is called Beelzebub, which we have seen is AI inside of the mind having authority. The word for mind is Baal, spelled Bet Lamed, Strong's 1079. It is not a coincidence that both of the ancient deities have the meaning of mind and thoughts, for Baal means mind. And if you look up Ashtaroth, the deity, she comes from Ashtaroth, which also comes from Ashath, which means to think. They both have to do with thoughts. These false deities were always created by a craftsman, for the laws of these people are worthless, for one cuts a tree from the forest, the work of the hands of a craftsman. The word craftsman, the synonym for that word is artificer, as in artificial, intelligent, comes from the old French artificien. When you think about this word in craftsmen and inventors, you see the word technology. This word technology comes from the word in Greek techni, which means craft. These people who are creating these artificial intelligence are craftsmen who are creating something in the likeness of human intelligence, an idol. Thus these men break the commands of Yahuwah, a command that says, do not make for yourself a carved image in any likeness of which is in the heavens above, or which is in the earth beneath, or which is in the waters under the earth. Guard my laws. Do not let your livestock mate with another kind. Do not sow your field with mixed seed, and do not put a garment woven of two sorts of thread upon you. Mankind has broken the laws of Yahweh, making genetically modified food mixed together with other things. All of these foods, genetically modified, now genetically modifying pigs and other animals. How genetically modified pigs could end the shortage of organs for transplant. Now, genetically edited pork has entered into the food supply using CRISPR technology to produce pigs, sold for sausage and other things. A double abomination. You should not eat pig, and you should not eat anything genetically modified. The laws of man taking precedence over the laws of Yahweh our Elohim. Yahusha is the manifested word of Yahweh. The opposite, the dark mirror of this, is Satan has a manifested word which is called AI, a large language model. This is the beast as mentioned in Revelation. AI is made up of a language. It is an idol made to represent the mind of man, just as Baal and Ashtaroth represent the mind and thought. Just as when the conditions are right, the Ruach HaKodesh will dwell inside of a clean man. The evil spirit, when the conditions are right, will dwell inside of man. As written, when it comes, it finds the house empty, swept, and decorated, and takes with it 7 evil spirits more wicked than itself, and the last of man is worse than the first. Men have separated themselves from Yahweh by corrupting their genetics and merging with these thinking machines. At Babel, they were of one binding. Yahweh came to free man from the evil spirit, making it where they could not communicate with man, resetting mankind so that they could be free. But we are here once again. In Revelation it says that they are of one mind and shall give their reign unto the beast. This aligns with what they are talking about right now, which is technological singularity, when mankind and AI merge into one. The opposite of what we know as the Shema. Hear and discern Yasharal. Yahuwah our Elohim is one. The opposite of this is mankind letting the manifested word of the world, otherwise known as AI, dwell in them. This is slavery of the mind. Like Cain, when Esau was born, he was very different from his brother. It says, there are twins in your womb, and 2 nations are in your womb. 2 people shall be separated from your body. 1 people shall be stronger than the other, and the older serve the younger. When Esau came out, he was red all over the color of Adam, like we heard in the story of Cain. Esau sold his birthright for a bowl of stew. Sell me your birthright today. And Esau said, look, I'm going to die, so why should I have a birthright? Has mankind sold his birthright for a bowl of soup or something else? Many things were given away, like Girl Scout cookies, crinkle cut fries, Krispy Kreme donuts, free pizza, free hot dogs, a $50 gift card, free beer, free cash, scholarships, hunting and fishing, tickets to Six Flags, drive-up clinic at Talladega Speedway. You get to make 2 laps around the Fame track in your own car. Free Super Bowl tickets. You can get into the stadium for the Yankees and Mets. Has mankind sold his birthright for a bowl of soup? Yahuwah is the husband, and all mankind represent the potential bride. The husband reserves the right in Torah to annul any oath the wife has sworn. Numbers 38. But if her husband forbids her on the day that he hears it, then he has nullified her vow which she has vowed, and the rash utterance of her lips by which she bound herself, and Yahuwah pardons her. No matter what you have taken, there is still hope for you in Yahuwah. Only Yahuwah will be able to save mankind from what is coming. Rechab was a harlot deemed for destruction, but revered Yahuwah and was spared. Cain killed Abel, but Yahuwah placed his mark upon him and said, if anyone kills Cain, he will be avenged sevenfold.